Quankutamani Alaska me Petiraga put Ayukin retut. Quankutamani Alaska me Petiraga put Ayukin retut. Ayahanga yeanga yeheanga ha quenga you pilgo.
This is Susan. No, this is Susan. Yes, he is. Murph, pick up the telephone. My name's Susan Murphy, and I was born and raised in Bethel. I'm 73 years old. I was one of the first cradle Catholics in Bethel. My family's from a well-established Bethel family. My mother was the first Eskimo judge in the world and the first woman judge in Alaska. She was born 40 miles upriver at Aucukuaq. And my dad came up in 1938 and fell in love with the country and came back a couple years later and settled down and raised a family of 10 kids. All of my brothers and sisters live in Alaska except for Margie, who lives over in Canada, but we're all northerners at heart. Although I think God has a sense of humor because I really like hot weather. We really don't have hot weather around here.
Darvat naramkan eurachiangachai. Darvat naramkan eurachiangachai.
I think that the church reflects a Yupik culture a lot in just how we do things. More and more we're doing things like when we baptize babies, they're baptized with Yupik names also, besides their white names. In some ways, the Yupik culture gentles traditional Catholic teaching because we're realistic people, but we're gentle people too.
I am being completely honest when I call Susan boss, and I say that with reverence and respect. She was born and raised in Bethel. She knows Bethel inside and out. She knows the backgrounds of people, and I am an outsider coming in, so I defer to her all the time. She's the parish administrator. She is the head of the catechists. She is the liturgist. She was teaching when I arrived here in 1964. When I first came to Alaska, I came as a Jesuit scholastic. The word Catholic means universal, but the Catholic Church is far from universal yet. The Roman Catholic Church is based upon the Roman European experience. The European Catholic Church is sorely deficient in respect for the world around us. The Yupik Catholic Church has that gift to give to the Roman Catholic Church, is an understanding and a reverence for the world around us.
My dad was interpreter. He used to, before he got married, he used to help priests travel to and from. He used to do, help McIntyre do Sunday readings and translate.
One time when we were at Aucukuaq, one winter, he came, Father O'Connor came with your dad. He was a young man.
Yeah, he used to
Day by dog team.
We're very busy people. Like summertime, We're all busy cutting fish.
We have smokehouses and fish racks.
And sometimes the church is like that, it stops. Because most of us are doing our subsistence way of life we do. It's just that we've been doing it for so many years, so many centuries that we still carry that on. So you have to kind of work around the village community activities that are happening. But we always say, and they always tell us that the Catholic teachings or the Orthodox teachings and our Aucukuaq teachings are same. They're identical. Because the scriptures say to help the needy, we also say to help the needy.
I feel the present Pope wants to see a greater role for women, but he's still shying away from women ordination. But he somehow wants to see a recognition of the gifts of women in the church, because they've always been there, but they've been overshadowed.
And I think the church is going to be able to become a church that embraces leadership for women, to the degree that the church looks to and listens to the experience in our villages, or places like our villages, where even in a patriarchal system, women are directing the work in the church. To the degree that the Roman Catholic Church can look at that and recognize how valuable women's leadership roles are, and elevate that, recognize that officially, then the Catholic Church can grow.
When I came, you used to lead the Sunday services.
And I was Eucharistic minister, but I forgot how many years. Not too many years. But until my late can't.
97, I came, and you were leading services then.
In our culture, the spiritual part of the work was done by the men, and when the priest came, and when the sisters came, they kind of took over. But
Like what?
took over the teaching of the spirituality part. That's why we don't have too many active men. It's mostly women.
I enjoy working at the church. I enjoy most of the time. Sometimes it's harder than others. Sometimes it's a complete joy, and sometimes it's work. My family says I live at the church, but if I were home, I'd be cleaning house or cooking or cleaning house. I'd rather be down there than cleaning house.
A significant challenge is that the people in the villages do not have access to the sacraments, especially the Eucharist, because there are so few priests out here, and as yet we do not have a formation program that encapsulates the Aucukuaq genius in the formation of a priesthood. The Roman Catholic tradition, certainly since the 10th century, has been a celibate priesthood. As of now, we have no Aucukuaq Catholic priests.
We do have trained lay people who do Word of Communion now, which is good. But I think there should be married priests. I think especially in this region, the family is so important in Aucukuaq society. It's at the core of our being, that to ask a person not to marry to serve the people doesn't make sense.
Why don't we have a Aucukuaq priest? Because in our society, for many generations, it's always been a family man. Because we have to survive. I teach my boys how to survive from the nature. We teach our young men, our boys, because they're supposed to continue life. Life has to keep going, and the life has to be taught.
There is this need also for us as church to empower the people in this culture to take ownership of what it means for them to be Catholic, for them to develop the faith through a Yupik lens. That is a driving force, quite frankly, for the native lay ministry program here. The fact that they have the key to the Yupik church developing. And to give them the power and the freedom to develop their Yupik faith requires a permission that they kind of don't have officially yet.
We have fewer and fewer priests now. The Jesuits are struggling to provide priests for this area. They brought up seminarians and scholastics and tertians to expose them to this area. Maybe some of them will come back. Well, this last year it's been a really hard year on the Catholic community in Bethel with Father gone, not having a full-time priest. I think our biggest problem is we're losing the young people in the church. Go to church on Sunday and take a look around. Not on Easter, on a regular Sunday. And everybody there is old. 10 years ago, 11 years ago, my husband and I were coming back from a trip to Ireland, and in the Anchorage airport, one of the parishioners said, "Oh, Susan, the priest left." I said, "What?" "The priest just up and left." So I came on home, found out I was the only person authorized to sign the checking account. Bills hadn't been paid. The priest had kind of a nervous breakdown and left. And so the parish council met and said, well, probably we could get by with somebody coming in a couple of days a week for a couple hours. And I said, well, I could probably do that. And it's turned out to be a full-time volunteer job working at the church. I'm down there almost every day. Most of the people are always really willing to help. We had a hard time a few years ago when the pedophile priest scandal hit, when the diocese went into bankruptcy and when we settled with the victims. Our share, the Bethel Parish share, was $16,000 that we had to pay. And I made very sure it did not come out of collection. We did fundraisers to pay. And we're still coming back from that in Bethel, people who were so betrayed and so hurt by the church covering up that they just stopped coming to Mass. It was very hurting for me personally because I knew nearly every priest that had been accused, and I knew some of them very well. I think the hurt here was both the idea that some of the priests that we knew really well could have been, probably did abuse, but the cover-up by the bishop, the fact that they didn't take them and immediately remove them once the allegations were made, that they chose not to believe the people of God. And that's what really hurt. I have real hope for the Catholic Church. Just get a few more priests up here. A few more deacons. But if they get women be deacons, we'd have a lot more.